Welcome back to BaldHeaded Metal, guys. My name is Joseph. Today, let's do another band maid reaction. This time, it's going to be to Dice. And we're going to jump into this one, knowing already, if you've been following me on these reactions, that I've kind of grown a liking to this band. I'm open-minded to all kind of styles they're going to present, as long as it's fun, interesting, and it's something that I enjoy. And if it's not particularly up my alley, I at the very least will pay some respect to this band. But either way, it's been very interesting kind of checking out their different styles that this band has. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. If you are a fan of Band Maid, just give me a chance here, because I do voice criticisms of basically every single reaction that I do here, for the exception maybe of a couple that really resonated with me. And it's just criticisms for my personal taste. It's not a matter of fact. And I understand how talented and how good these young ladies are. Anywho, let's get right into it. This is specifically the live version too. It's what you guys have been really requesting. Oh, that bass came in nice and smooth. I like that. This, I would think, is something I would actually expect more from a Japanese styled band, because it kind of has, I don't know how to explain it, because it's gonna make it sound juvenile if I say compare it to something like anime, but it just has this sound that makes me think of Japanese music for some reason, like popular Japanese music. And maybe I'm wrong, but at the least that's the associations I have in my head. And I know from you guys, you've been telling me that even this band has been criticized by some people, saying that they've gone too poppy, or that they were too commercial, or then other things. Like, there's been a lot of criticisms that they've fought hard against, because they want to play their own way in their own style. But I want to dive deeper into this song before I gather my thoughts, just to kind of tell you what I'm feeling and what I'm jiving with or not jiving with. Yeah, the one thing that's been really consistent for me is her voice. I really like her voice. I think it matches so nicely with this band. I think I even said it from the first reaction, the one that I wasn't a big fan of, Thrill. And the thing about this particular song, I think this one is on the poppier side, but it doesn't make it bad. I don't know why there's a negative connotation with the pop being bad. I like pop, but when I say I like pop music, I tend to like Madonna, Prince, you know, something that's a little bit Michael Jackson, something that's a little bit more old school. Not because it's old, it's just the sound I prefer. I'm not a big fan of like somebody like Billie Eilish, even though I respect her. I'm not a fan of like Nicki Minaj or anything like that, even though I like hip-hop. I like, again, it's like this, I like all genres of music, but I like pertain to certain styles, and I like how they mix in along with their pop music. There's also elements of jazz, the elements of blues, rock and roll kind of mixed in there. And for what I've heard from some of the songs, even some heavy metal, with something like Warning or Rini. right before the beginning of the song, I'm just gonna rewind it a little bit. I really, so far, it's really striking me, the bass and the drums in particular in the song. I can't say, like, for example, that I'm hooked into the song, but like, you know, like on a logical level, you can stop yourself and be like, whoa, this is good. Yeah, this is one the type of music, if it's on the radio, or somebody's playing it, let's say in a room, I'm enjoying it and I'm loving it, and I'll listen to it. I'll never ask somebody to switch it, but not something I particularly seek out, which has been actually the case despite growing up with classic rock and blues and everything like that. And I have my moments when I seek that music out, and I want to listen to my Deep Purple Burn, I want to listen to BB King or Muddy Waters or whatever it may be. I typically don't. I noticed after myself, I mostly listen to heavy metal and with some hip hop mixed in there, and from time to time I like industrial techno. So it's not particular genre of music I'd be seeking out, but I can enjoy it and like it. And unlike hearing something like Avenged Sevenfold, and literally the first second comes on asking my friend to switch it off or switch to another band, I'd rather listen to like Limp Bizkit than I'd rather do to Avenged Sevenfold or something like that. To me, they seem to be a little bit more themselves. And that's kind of what I appreciate about Band Maid. They kind of do it. I've come to realize they really are doing what they want to do in their music, which I think is important. Actually, another thing I appreciate, something I've started realizing with this band, I like Love Bites. I've grown to like Love Bites, but I think from what I've heard, one album and a half up from Love Bites, this band has a little bit more variety. They don't always go for speed. Sometimes they go slow it down a little bit. Their solos could be just a little bluesier. Whereas Love Bites, it's great if you're in that Iron Maiden, Judas Priest kind of mood. It's perfect because it's just like old school speed metal almost, and they just go for it, you know, charge in for it, and I enjoy that. But this one they like to be a little bit more playful with their music, so they kind of experiment more, which is another reason I think it could actually not be, despite that I think this is a more popular or more softer in the ears approach to music. There's a lot of variety that not all fans can be completely on board with, or it takes time to kind of absorb all that texture, so to say. You know, another thing I'm going to say right now, and I know this is going to spark a conversation on this channel because anytime I said something like that, it always has. I'm going to come from a different perspective. When I hear some comments by you guys that would say, this is the best band I've heard in 30 years, or this is like, I've heard this with Love Bites a lot, this is the best band ever, or you just put it to this top of a tier list automatically. When I first heard it, I'll be honest, it shocked me because my initial gut emotional reaction and logical reaction was like, wait a minute, that's 30 years. 30 years of music. How many bands existed? How many of them were influential? How many of them has done something that is important in my eyes that should be historically kind of recognized? You know, when they go, Rock Hall of Fame, like when they trying to induct somebody in there, like how can they put Madonna in there and not put somebody else in there? I've always been like that. And the other part of me has like after seeing some of your comments and how you express yourself, is slow down and go, wait a minute. But also music taste is subjective, and we all like different things. And what happens to a lot of us is our lists change throughout the years. We discover a new band that we never thought we would like this much. We grew up with a certain kind of sound that we're so used to, and then we hear something that's out of our, we didn't expect to hear it, and boom, it kind of introduces you there as well. So I've learned to kind of take it more with a not a grain of salt, but ease back a little bit and understand that some of these passions and very passionate comments coming from you guys, it comes really from a genuine point of view, and not what, honestly, if I'm being honest, it was that I thought for a second, like, do these people not know these bands? Like, are they not knowledgeable about all the bands that have existed in rock, blues, heavy metal, and all these genres, to say that this is the best band in 30 years? But now, I can understand it, and I can see it, and I don't fully have to get it. That's another thing I realized. Oh, there's gonna be two songs.
Let's go, it's showtime.
Different. Second song. I think it's fair to call them heavy metal. I think it's fair to call this band particularly heavy metal, because it's like Motorhead. Motorhead started as a classic rock, very heavy classic rock band. If I am correct, the drummer was the first one to have a double kick bass, the double pedals, to ever do that before. And later on, people just recognize them either as the forefathers of heavy metal or a heavy metal band, but really their roots are classic rock. So here it's like there's elements of classic rock, there's elements of heavy metal, there's elements of jazz, there's elements of blues, there's elements of Japanese popular music. So they kind of just pull from different strings to create the band and the sound that they like, which does seem to be, from my point of view, does seem to be a popular trend, whether it would be Hanabe, Nemophila, even Love Bites. They like to pull from different sources and just mash them all together. And in some bands, I think it works better than others. And in some bands, it just, for me, the sound can be jarring, where I remember pointing it out in Love Bites, where I would love the music and I would thought that the vocalist was a talented singer, but for me, like, she just never, to this day, she just doesn't jive with the music very well. Others disagree, others feel completely the opposite, and they feel like she's the one that enhances the music. So it's, again, it's the subjectivity of tastes. And the other example I'm always going to use is AC/DC. This is, I think, their biggest comparison to me, the way they structure their music and the way they play is AC/DC. Meaning that the root of the riffs and the chords are simple, but they are catchy. And the way they make themselves stand out above the rest is in solos that really kind of come out, and their vocalists, which I think is a nice comparison to AC/DC. The only difference would be, I think AC/DC's drummer, no matter which one they've had, I forgot all their names, to be honest, they've always been on a more like keeping a tempo on a simpler side, where I think this drummer is a little more talented. But in terms of bass, guitars, I think it's I think it's a fair comparison. Obviously, one being a female band, one being a male fronted band. That's what I mean. Like that sound here, it makes me. I mean, obviously for the Japanese language, but let's say even if they sang in English, I would think of a Japanese pop band. It just has that like J-pop, J-rock sound. And I can't explain to you. I'm not like I can't explain the notes or something way more specific. It's this feeling that I've because I grew up, for example, watching Asian cinema, watching anime, watching actually being to Japan one time. That was really fun. And at the same time, growing up with the rock music from different countries, I had one of my clients who was Japanese, who was introducing me to a lot of different bands from there as well. So it has that particular sound. Maximum the Hormone had that sound, even though they were like for me, I call them the Japanese System of the Down. And I think that's also that's what makes this band stand out, is introducing that part, kind of that element in their music. Otherwise, I think they would sound like a more standard talented rock band, but not necessarily like I feel like that identity of them, it just kind of enhances who they are. You know, I think with this, you know, I'm gonna let it play out, then I'm gonna give you like kind of what I'm feeling. You know, I think it finally registers with me, for example, why it wouldn't be a particular, I think I mentioned this, I don't mean to say it every single time because there's new viewers that come here and watch this, so they kind of get my point of view as well. If you've been here before, bear with me. Is this idea that, for example, I've learned to respect and come to respect this band, but there's a reason why I'd never really listen to them on my own. And I think it kind of narrows it down to this one element. I don't think I particularly connect with the way they write songs. For example, I think they're talented musicians in terms of playing their instruments, and there's heart and soul behind them playing, because there's some people that, like Yngwie Malmsteen, plays very mechanically. There's heart and soul in their music. It's inspired, I would say, but I'm not enjoying the way they write their songs and how their riffs come together. Their choruses, I don't think I particularly connect with the choruses. But there's a definite intrigue and interest in hearing kind of it's like when, you know, when you hear from a lot of people like, well, this is a great TV show, and then you watch one episode, it's like, I don't get it. This happened to me with Breaking Bad. You watch one episode, it's like, I don't get it. Why did everybody like this? It's like, no, dude, keep watching it. Second, third episode, I'm like, I don't get it. And like a season into it, I was like, oh, I get it. And I'm starting to get the appreciation for it. And maybe I'll never get to the same level as you guys are. But I think the fun thing about a reaction is just, it's a conversation. For me, why I enjoy watching reactions is that it feels like I'm showing something to my friend, and I get to see the reaction over again fresh, so you can get that feeling again the way you felt. And when they disagree with you, it creates a conversation for you to go back and forth about your interests. Why do you feel a certain way? And sometimes by explaining it to your friend why you like a certain song, you only solidify your love for that band even more. I noticed that after myself especially. So hopefully we can have a conversation together. If it wasn't exactly what you wanted to hear, let's have a conversation. Tell me how you feel. If you did enjoy the reaction, make sure to subscribe for more on this channel. I'll keep doing band-made reactions as long as you guys keep requesting it. I don't particularly want to upset people if you really don't enjoy the reaction. You know, I'm not, you know, I'd rather put my time and energy into something where we can have an interesting conversation and not a hateful exchange, which I've had before on certain reactions that I've done. Anywho, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it metal and take care of yourselves.